Mom deserves the best, and there's no better place to shop for Mother's Day than Whole Foods Market. They're your destination for unbeatable savings, from premium gifts to show-stopping flowers and irresistible desserts. Start by saving 33% with Prime on all body care and candles. Then get a 15-stem bunch of tulips for just $9.99 each with Prime. Round out Mom's menu with festive rosé, irresistible berry chantilly cake, and more special treats. Come celebrate Mother's Day at Whole Foods Market.
And we're back. It is episode 8. We have made it to 8 episodes, Amy.
I can barely count to 8.
It's Courtney and Amy. Welcome back to I'ma Let You Finish.
Welcome back.
We are recording today at the fabulous Canal Street Radio inside of Canal Street Market with our partners once again. Listening Party Presents. And we got a great show for you today. We have a special guest, Amy.
Oh no, I'm not a special guest.
Well, you are the special guest.
I am
today.
I'm special. We have a special guest today, the author and man about town, Ben Merlis. Very excited to talk to him. He's going to be talking to us about his brand new book, Going Off, which is the history of cold Chillin Records. So he's going to be coming in shortly. But
Good stuff.
Until then, you're stuck with me and Courtney.
And so, we tape these shows. So when you guys hear this show, it'll be, a little later in the month. So I
think this is a story, though,
Yeah.
that will stand the test. Courtney, I think this is what we call an evergreen. I think what we're about to start talking about is something that people will go back in history and go, where were you the moment you found out that
John Legend was voted the sexiest man alive. Okay, now here's my thing.
Okay, you
Here's
start
my
first.
thing.
We
Here's
need
my
to,
thing.
We need to first off defend. Let's just supposed to. Have you ever worked with John Legend?
Okay, when I was at Columbia, I was at Columbia
Not the university.
I was at
the
Columbia
records.
for his first album.
A great
I
record.
believe I left Columbia probably at the beginning. I feel like it was the second album.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, listen, John Legend is an incredibly nice guy.
Incredibly
An
nice.
incredibly talented guy.
Smart as the day is long.
Absolutely. And I do believe that smart can be sexy, and I believe there's nerdy sexy. I believe all of those things. But then when I saw the pictures, I was like, not so much.
He looks like a newt
It's
in the
like-
picture. Now, here's the thing. I also think that John is an incredibly nice guy. I've interviewed him once or twice. He's incredibly nice. He is smarter than all get
Yeah,
out.
he's super,
and
super
by
smart.
musician standards,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
yeah.
fucking Rhodes Scholar.
He's
His
a really good guy.
politics, he was the only male musician to go on camera for that R. Kelly documentary.
Right.
He has been outspoken against Trump and the patriarchy and everybody. He is married to clearly the hottest chick in the game.
Right.
Chrissy
You like
Teigen.
her?
I love her.
Yeah, I don't get it, but that's good for
But
her.
that's okay. I love her. I love a sassy. I love a
I
sassy
think I
broad.
like the idea of, you know what I mean? I'm just not one of those celebrities. I don't care, but I'm happy for them.
She's sassy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with John Legend. Here's what I want to say about his sexiness, and I know sexy is in the eye of the beholder.
Yes, it is.
First off, men are much more visual.
Yeah, that's true.
So a sexy woman for a man has to be like boom shakalaka.
Right.
There has to be a boom shakalaka factor.
Yeah.
Women will date or find a man attractive for other reasons, the reasons we just listed.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say. I have no problem with him being the sexiest man alive for all the reasons we listed. When they pick the sexiest woman, it's not a hot-looking chick. It's someone who's smart and political and all that.
Which, that's not what it's going to be.
And that's not going to happen.
Right.
So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, and listen, I don't mind him being the sexiest man alive. I just think, at least make him nerdy sexy in the pictures. Like, when I looked at the cover,
He looks like a newt.
a...
He looks like a newt.
I was just like, okay. I mean...
You know what? Not for nothing, though, if they were to pull the same thing
'Cause
with
listen,
Pharrell.
smart is sexy.
I have the same feeling about Pharrell. Pharrell, to me, Well, I think that John is a little brighter than Pharrell.
Well,
I mean,
here we
no,
go.
I
This
mean,
show's so violent.
No, but I'm saying from what I've heard him express. But Pharrell
Right.
is also super talented. But I'm like, he's not somebody you look at him and go, I must bed him. Especially coming after Idris for crying
No,
out
well,
loud.
I mean, because Idris just gives you. I mean, you saw when Chrissy was defending her man,
Yes.
and then when Idris answers back, it's like 1995, and you're like, oh wow,
Even
yeah.
then, you came
You're
out of
like,
the womb
baby,
hot. Yeah.
that was just like I've been hot since
Hot.
you know what I'm
Since
saying?
hot.
He's just hot.
But I will also give People Magazine and whatever corporation that owns them now 2 black men in a row.
Yep. Yeah.
That's major.
And listen, smart is sexy. It is.
Yes.
I think what it made
Which
me.
is why I have so many men.
You know what I think it made me do.
Wait, I have to knock. Men, leave me alone. Go away. Stop bothering me. Well, Carew is stalking me on the internet.
Not Carew. No, do you know? Shout out. Hey,
Shout out,
Carew.
hey,
Carew
Carew.
listens to the
We
show.
love
Hey,
you.
Carew.
We love
No,
you,
you know what's really funny though? It actually made me. It did something really good because it actually made me question my beliefs and all the stuff that I say when I said, you know what? First, I want to be like, oh, God, you picked him because visually that's not the first guy I think of. And I was like, but you know what? I think somebody who's really smart and sexy, smart and talented and a good person, I do find those attributes quite sexy.
I do too.
You know?
But
I just hate the photos.
I just hate the photos.
I wish the pictures were better.
Yeah, the photos are not good.
But that's the thing that I think gets most people.
You could sell him. Yeah, I mean, look. First off, sexy, whatever.
And listen, and women like sexy men without their shirt on too. Let's not even. You know, you guys are just as visual. You love Jason Momoa. No one loves Jason Momoa for his acting.
I don't find him attractive in the least. I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is that you will more often than not see a good-looking woman with a not-so-good-looking guy than you will see a good-looking guy with a not-so-good-looking woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sitting here trying. I'm like, wait,
No.
I was going to name.
No.
I was going to name.
She's good. Oh, no, wait a minute. She is good-looking. People are... Our producer just held up a picture of Keanu and his girlfriend, whose name we don't know, who I thought was Helen Mirren.
Well, everybody
thought
it
was Helen
Listen,
Mirren.
I don't. She's an artist named Cindy. Somebody. I don't find her unattractive.
I don't find her
I actually
unattractive.
find her quite stylish, and she reminds me of like that hip. Downtown
in the
Tribeca-y
80s.
sort of chick who's
And
like, I've got my silver hair,
and I
and
applaud
you know what
any
I'm saying?
woman
I'm
who
into
embraces it.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
I'm into
And I
all
wouldn't.
of it.
I don't find Keanu. Whatever. All right. Anyway.
I love Keanu Reeves.
I know. He's the
Keanu.
internet's boyfriend.
I love Keanu Reeves. I do. I love him.
I just love. I find sexy any man who's married to a woman that Donald Trump has blocked on Twitter.
This is a good point.
All
And
right. So
speaking of blocking, if you come to New York, don't bring your churros.
don't bring your churros. Leave your churros home.
Don't bring your churros.
We are a no churro zone.
Because,
BYO churro.
do you know what I hate about this story?
But we got to back it up. Let's
Yeah,
give it
yeah,
a little
yeah,
because
okay.
it's more than the. I mean, we're joking.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not joking around. Basically, what's happened in the last few months, the New York City Police Department, and no one has asked them to do this, might I add, has decided that they need to crack down on crime because the real crime is down in New York. So they're cracking down on subway fare evaders, you know, people who jump over the turnstiles,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who sneak in through the thing.
Yeah.
And I guess now they're cracking down on these nice ladies
And the vendors,
and the vendors who are selling stuff without a vending license. So,
which is everything needs a license now. New York used to be a town where we would have a party in the park. It was no big deal, but now everything is, where's your permit? You need this, you need that. It's like a million rules for any kind of small business to try to operate in this town.
well, I can understand. Okay, the thing is, there's 2 levels to this. First off, there's the New York, really, are you fucking kidding me, is this important level. But it's the way that they're going about it. This woman, one lady, was surrounded by 4 cops, and instead of saying, hey, miss, ma'am, you can't do that here. They
evidently,
her.
Remember, they supposedly had given her warnings, and she'd gotten something like 8 summonses in the last month, and they kept saying you can't do it.
Is there a churro shop upstairs that's losing business?
Well, here's my thing about it. Then figure out a way for people to be able to have small business, because that's truly small business in this
get
town.
a permit. Make it easy.
I don't know. I don't know about you guys who listen to us in other cities, but if you come to New York now, and you walk down any street in any part of town in every borough, Every other sign that used to be some small business is store for rent, out of sales, store for rent.
It's a bank or a chain
So
store
when I
now.
hear everybody talking about jobs, I'm like, we're not talking honestly about small business. Small business is that person with a food cart trying to sell churros.
But
That's real small business.
So there's that part of it too, but the other part, which is what makes it, really insidious, is there was a young black kid who was detained by cops, transit cops in Brooklyn, and really hurt, like beaten down, like to the point where there were protests. There was a young man in Oakland, I believe, who was stopped by the cops because he was eating on a subway platform.
Right.
So that's it's becoming this thing where these kind of quality of life crimes are an open window for cops to start harassing people, and it's usually people of color.
It's a really tricky situation. You know what I mean? It's a tricky situation. Listen, my dad was NYPD. You know what I mean? And I know watching him do that job that it was a hard job.
Yeah.
But I see some of the stuff that's happening, and I'm like, why can't we have an honest conversation about this?
I just don't think turnstile jumping is that big of a deal. Sorry.
Well, listen. Well, they've changed it now with turnstile jumping. They don't arrest you as easily. You'll get arrested if you have outstanding warrants and outstanding stuff. Now you'll get a summons that you have to pay or you appear before.
I just worry when it gives cops, and I'm not anti-cop, cops an excuse. There was no reason you needed 4 cops for 1 kid.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. As a black man, like that's a whole other show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
that's what worries
some
me.
of the experience, it's a really strange thing that as an adult I remembered, and I didn't remember this until I was an adult. The times my mom and dad sat me down, like, if you ever deal with a police officer, this is what you do.
Right.
This is what you say. And I never thought about that until much later in life. And I was like, when people would say, oh, my parents had to talk with me, and then I realized, holy shit.
Right.
And my dad was a cop, and he had that talk with me.
All kids. I work with high school kids, black and Latino and they're getting that talk too.
And it's really crazy. And I see how we're viewed as black men. I'll tell you a story. It was Global Citizen in Central Park.
Right.
I had like 5 credentials around my neck.
Right.
All access, everything. I had to go out to give somebody their passes, and I kind of went a back way, and I got lost. And so the back way that I was in was closed, and there was nobody around that area, but there was some cops. So I walk up to the police officer to ask him a question, and he immediately just starts yelling at me.
Yep.
And I'm looking, you're not supposed to be here. You're not. And I was just kind of like, I have 5 credentials around me. Sir, I said, sir, I came out. I took a back way. I just need to get back to the stage area. But it was like he immediately saw me, and it was just enraged. And I was just like, wow, we're in such a place with this relationship between the community and the police that it's immediate sort of friction.
Wait, that guy's back with the hair.
Yeah.
Where he's back? He was here last week.
Wait.
No,
Oh my
Robert
God.
Smith's stunt double.
Are you
He's
kidding?
Back. He's back.
What?
No.
The same one?
Yeah, the same one.
See,
I
guys,
think he might
I'm in the
live
middle of
here.
my back is turned. My
I
back
think
is
he might
turned,
live here.
and now they have me
No.
scared to turn
Oh my
around.
God.
I'm like,
No, it's
Robert
Rob-
Smith from The Cure is
stunt double.
coming to kill me.
Stunt double.
Oh my God.
Without the lipstick.
But I just
Oh
say
my God.
it's a bigger
Do you think
story.
he sleeps here? Do you think he sleeps
It's
here?
a bigger
Sorry.
story, and we have to. That's a different show.
Right.
But it's definitely some of these quality of life things. I'm like, we need to get with the community and sit there, and we need to really say, listen. The stuff we're worried about in our communities is our kids being shot in the park.
Not the churros.
I'm not worried about the lady
churros.
in the churros.
And I am personally going to start buying them because I didn't know they were $1.
Well, I mean, that does not make you want a churro.
I always want a churro,
I'm
but I didn't
serious.
know
It
they were
doesn't
a
that, like,
fucking
Miss
$1.
Thing.
I thought they were like $3, $4.
That story
I'm like,
made me be like, well,
I
I
want
could
a churro.
totally eat
churro
a
out.
churro.
I could churro out. I could chum. We should get the churro lady to be a sponsor.
Oh my God! And have her come in and be like,
churros.
And speaking of
churros. Speaking of baked goods.
Speaking of baked goods and unsympathetic characters, Taylor Swift is back in the news.
Talk about white. All right, let's talk about underbaked.
This is all I'm going to say in this because I know you have an opinion too.
Me? An opinion?
I
What?
think that this is a bigger story about artists and ownership. and it's a really important lesson on ownership and knowing the kind of deals you sign and understanding those old deals versus new deals and understanding why a lot of people go independent and want to own their work.
Okay, so here's my thing about Taylor Swift. First off, I give a flying fuck about nothing about Taylor Swift's life. That said, it is a bigger issue, but I will say these two things and then whatever. I don't believe her, and here's why I don't believe her, because she has cried white lady tears numerous times. Kanye said this. It's really bad when Kanye and Kim are the voices of reason in a conversation. Number one. Number two, she pulls the faux feminism card all the time, and
Right.
and feminism doesn't mean you have a friend that's a girl.
Right.
Okay. And the third thing with her is she was given an opportunity to buy these. Her father was right, from what I understand.
See, I need to look that up because that would, to me, if that is really true, it's like
it's hard to
you
tell.
always have to buy your masters if you get there. That's the holy grail.
Right.
That is the most artists.
That's like having it. That's
I've worked with artists who quietly gotten their masters in their renegotiations. I've worked with other artists who own some of their masters. Now, look, with Prince, his big fight with Warner Brothers was owning his work.
Yes, and then he ended up like whatever.
But when he went back, he got his work
on his own.
But except for the soundtracks, because the soundtracks always become
property.
A thing because of the movie, like Batman and.
All joking aside, if she is being ripped off, that's not right. She shouldn't be ripped off. But I don't like
not
the
especially
way,
if you wrote the song.
Right, but exactly. But I don't like the way she's couching it. And I also find it a little weird.
Well, everybody takes the fight public. It doesn't happen if it doesn't happen on Tumblr or Instagram. She does her Tumblr posts and the world pays attention.
Also, especially since you can't sick a bunch of fans after somebody. This is a legal issue.
Except Scooter Braun is not exactly a sympathetic character.
He's a manager.
At all
there are no managers. None of these people are sympathetic.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit more than that.
None of these people.
This side feels like nobody has clean hands.
Well, he's a grown man.
And I think hers
Scooter.
might be a little cleaner, but I think Scott and Scooter, they seem to have really dirty. That lets you know
Scooter.
right there.
And what kind of Jew names their kids Scooter?
Speaking from a Jewess.
I mean, a Jewette. That's a ridiculous. And he's Canadian. There's a lot of.
He's Canadian?
Yes, isn't he? Isn't the whole Justin Bieber empire?
Justin is Canadian.
But doesn't he own?
I don't think Scooter's Canadian.
I don't know.
I don't think so. Isn't he from like New York or Jersey or some shit?
Well, maybe. I don't. The point is, I think there is probably a middle ground in this that we don't know about. But
the middle ground is she should be able to buy her masters.
Yes, and I just don't think I don't like it when you start sicking the fans on people because let's be honest,
I do.
The fans.
I do. Go for it.
No, because they're idiots. The fans are. I mean, all joking aside, but life will go on. Guess what? Taylor Swift's life will go on, and she won't have to worry about money no matter what happens.
This is true. So,
what?
I was thinking about me in my music. I'm always playing a lot of vinyl in the house and rebuilding my collection. And I started pulling out all of these like sort of old dance records, Salsa records and Profile records and Next Plateau, and it really got me thinking about like Strictly Rhythm and this whole subject ties back to that, right? Because a lot of these old dance labels came around for like Strictly is still here.
Right.
Strictly was bought by
Profile's still here.
Yeah, and Profile is owned through Sony now, I believe, and they manage that catalog. And BMG now bought all of the recordings and all of the publishing from Strictly, and they manage that. And you think about all of those artists; those were big dance records. Barbara Tucker, I Get Lifted. Beautiful People, Ultra Nate Free.
She used to live in my neighborhood.
And all of that publishing.
Right.
And those people have. It's kind of the same, the Taylor Swift situation. You've got.
Except they made much more danceable music than she did.
They did, but it is a very interesting thing when you don't get to own your intellectual property. And I think about all these records, and I love these classic records, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit with Ben and Cold Chillin. You have these labels that had really influential records in a short period of time that didn't really last for a really long time.
But they're lasting in a different way because people are constantly going back to them. So we were talking about last week, and before Ben comes in, the whole idea of dance music. Dance music is always going to refer back to those records.
Absolutely.
And a dance music fan is always going to be like that person that beat me up on some page about Shannon.
Right.
It's always going to go back to that.
Did somebody beat you up about Shannon?
Oh, they said, you're going to like the Jesse Where song? Why don't you here's the original? It's like,
It's
thank you for
don't
mansplaining Shannon. Thank you for mansplaining
Don't
Shannon.
you love
to me.
when somebody acts like if you say I like a song or something, they
Like,
try
you're
to
too
come
stupid.
in.
It's like, thank you. And wasn't that the first song I said to you when I called you up? I go,
Yeah, you
I
did.
think it's this.
You did say that, and you were like, "No, it's Shannon," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can hear that." What I didn't hear was Bananarama.
No, me
You
neither.
keep saying Bananarama.
No, the New York Times said that.
I like. Yeah, but the New York Times
I
also
know,
talked
with
about
chicken
black people and a
cronuts
chicken
and
sandwich and
what?
shit.
Speaking of chicken and black people, hey Ben.
Let the music play.
Ladies and gentlemen,
our first guest.
our first guest.
I'm honored.
You should be. And he's rocking the cold chillin' jacket and the Misfits Fiend shirt.
We have Ben Merlis in the house.
Woohoo! All right, before
Ben has a
Ben's-
great book,
Yeah,
guys.
it's really cool. And you know what I like about
It's
your
called
book
Going
the
Off, the
most? Here,
story of the Juice Crew and Cold Chillin Records.
I'm going to hold it up so that the non-existent camera can see. What I like about this
Fiona
book...
Bloom could take a picture. Oh, no, she can't. Never mind.
No, what I like about it is that it's pocket-sized. It's perfect size.
Going Off, the
She
story
can't
of the Juice Crew and Cold Chillin.
It's a perfect size for a New York City gal with her backpack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her tote bag. All right,
So let's dig into
I'm going
it.
to embarrass Ben
Okay,
first. Well,
oh
it's
God.
not an embarrassment. Let me explain to you how I know Ben.
1, 2,
Two,
3.
three.
The
Old
old
Indian
Indian
rope
rope trick.
Okay, guys. What the fuck is the
Go.
old Indian rope trick?
When I was probably 7 years old at 318 South Mansfield, the first house I lived in L.A., I had this
Which I've been to. I've been to parties. There was an excellent house.
we had this dachshund named Raymond Lowy Jr. and named after Raymond Lowy by my father, who's obsessed with Studebaker Avantis, and and he's the guy who designed those. So we had this dog, and I had this dog chain, and I would do this what I thought was like a magic trick, look, I can make this turn into a loop and then not be a loop anymore or whatever. But it was, and I would say it's the old Indian rope trick, and then flash forward to a year ago. I'm
Yeah.
I'm in touch with Amy Linden. Well, that's the one you did the old Indian rope trick for.
That's hilarious.
So it's forever that. Well, I have known Ben and his mom, the wonderful Luann, and his brothers for quite some time. I haven't seen him in a million years.
My mom's real name's Judy, but
Everyone calls her Luann,
well,
though.
back then they did, yeah.
Yeah, they called her Luann. I don't know why. I knew her name was Judy, and then everybody called. But the reason I know Ben's dad, who is Bob Merlis, who was a big muckety-muck publicist for years.
Still is.
Still
I'd
is
like
a
to
muck-
think.
He is a muckety-muck. He's muckety at this point.
Well, I'll be
He's
the muck.
muckety and mucketing. He's definitely muckety and mucketing. Well, I met your dad. I met Merlis, who nobody calls by his first name, in 1978. He came to San Francisco because he was with Warner Brothers and working with the Sex Pistols. And he took myself. I lived in San Francisco, as did my best friend, who is an old friend of his and David Turner's.
Wow, okay.
I was
That
at
means nothing to anybody but me.
it's directed at you.
All right.
And David Turner, I was at David Turner's wedding where the Rubinoos played.
Uh-huh.
You remember that?
That was in the backyard of 318 South Mansfield.
Yes, it was. Anyway.
Inside baseball.
Yes, very inside.
But people know who the Sex Pistols are, so let's
So the
focus
Sex
on
Pistols.
that.
So we were at the Mabuhay Gardens, which was San Francisco's version of CBGB's, and your dad said, "Hey, you guys going to see the Sex Pistols?" I'm like, "Going to see Sex Pistols? This been sold out for a million years. How am I going to go see a Sex Pistols? I'm just nobody with long hair. I don't even have short hair. How can I be a punk?" And your dad literally went, "I have tickets." Bam! And I went to see the Sex Pistols, and the show changed my life because of your dad.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I've never
I
seen the
mean,
Sex Pistols.
On
And
behalf
I-
of my
That's a
father,
good
thank
one.
you.
And it's your dad's fault that my life went spiraling out of control. I developed a crippling substance abuse problem,
Okay.
and I have no
Okay,
idea who the
that-
father of my
okay,
child is.
that's-
Oh my God, Bob
okay.
Rose, I hate you. No, I'm kidding.
Ooh, this
I
is
think that's
production
a
values.
I'm
I think
making
that's a
that part
different
up.
kind of show.
I'm making that part.
But let me
No.
tell you about the Sex Pistols because they changed my life too, and I didn't get to see them.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what it was like.
And when you were on that other podcast in England called Rock's Back Pages, and you said I saw the Sex Pistols last show at Winterland, it was fucking dope. And no one was saying, and fucking dope hadn't been invented yet.
No,
as
it
a term.
hadn't. Not as a phrase. No, dope had been invented, but not fucking
And
dope.
Fiona Bloom, our wonderful publicist for the book, who's standing right next to me, we were on the train to Philly the other day, and I said, "When did you start going to shows?" And she's from London. She said, "When I was 4." I said, "You see any punk bands?" She goes, "I saw the Clash when I was 10, and I saw the Sex Pistols when I was 11." I said, "That's it."
I saw the Clash. I saw the Clash in 1978. They did a show for Bill Graham the night before, and this was a secret gig, and they had to be billed as the only English band that matters because Bill Graham wouldn't allow a band to play within a certain time frame. So it was Negative Trend opened up for them. It was a Negative Trend Clash, and then the Zeros.
From Chula Vista, California.
Yes,
Let's
and
just talk about punk, dude. Fuck this
Yeah,
rap
fuck
shit.
this rap shit.
So let's get into it. Cold Chillin'. What made you dig into Cold Chillin'? You know, of all of the small little indie labels and.
Well, 1987 must have been a big year for me because that is the year I discovered the Sex Pistols. I was 9, and it is also the year I discovered Cold Chillin Records.
Wow.
Because they started putting out records through Warner Brothers, so we had the inside track on that.
There you
Yeah, and but even just as a rap fan in the 80s, it was unavoidable. Big Biz Markie, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, and DJ Polo, MC Shan, Roxanne Shante, Marley Marl. Like, you can't. I mean, these were big players in hip hop at the time. So,
what I loved about the book, as I read the book this week, was the first-hand accounts from everyone,
Yeah.
and really hearing the first-hand accounts from Big Daddy Kane, because
These are a lot of people you don't hear them talk.
no,
a lot.
and what I was going to say is, I think when everybody's always talking about who are the best hip hop artists of all time, I don't think enough people talking about Big Daddy Kane and who he was in that moment in time.
Right.
I think before LL, he was the first
Sex
symbol.
Oh, he was very
He
sexy.
was like, women loved him and dudes loved him. He had that dual thing. And then when he started making those records that were geared more toward women, how the men kind of turned on him a little bit, but he stayed steadfast in doing what he thought was right. And I really loved hearing his stories like from his own mouth, especially the whole period with Playgirl. We knew he did Playgirl, but why'd you do Playgirl? Why did you do the sex book? All of those things, And
Well, I like the part in the book about Madonna chasing him down the hall of Warner Brothers. But
oh, they visited sick children at the children's
children's
hospital.
hospital.
Yeah.
And she would rap "Ain't No Half Steppin'"
To the kids.
because they were like white kids who'd never heard Big Daddy Kane. Yeah.
no, it's funny because the very first hip hop story that I ever got paid for was actually a story about the Juice Crew Boogie Down Productions battle,
That's chapter 3 in the book.
Thank you. Yes, Paige, and so I interviewed Marley Marl. I interviewed who else? Somebody else.
KRS-One.
Yeah, well,
MC
yeah, no,
Shan.
but I'm talking about these guys, and it's funny because we always associate this as being so intrinsically New York, but
Right.
obviously it wasn't. If you're a kid in California and you're getting it,
We got the BDP album when it came out.
Yeah.
Criminal Minded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just. But we also had K-Day in LA.
Right.
And K-Day was one of the first, if not the first. Well, a rap station.
Right.
It was. Realistically, it was probably about 60% rap and 40% R&B. But probably the first majority rap station ever, I think.
But
or,
weren't they?
Or was BLS was.
Well,
Yeah.
well, the thing about BLS is like BLS was everything black music. It just
Everything.
was. Frankie Crocker would break. Frankie Crocker was playing Madonna. Madonna,
Yeah.
Holiday, and everybody
Yeah.
came through WBLS before
He was
anywhere
playing
else.
Thompson Twins. He
Yeah,
was
he
playing
was-
if you could get if there was some kind of groove, Frankie was
Yeah,
there.
he
Yeah.
was definitely on.
Yeah.
And to me, when I think about these stories and that's true in New York and a lot of stuff in New York, rap shows were relegated to late at night here,
Right.
And overnight shifts. But when I think about all
Or
of these
college.
records and these artists, just growing up here, it was so just present. It was
Yeah.
the college part, being in college. I was in high school and college in the 80s, so that was.
I was in prison.
Oh.
I'm just making that up. I've
I
decided.
was in.
Shout out to
Prison.
Rikers Island.
Bedford Hills.
I was also in
Yeah.
prison, aka 3rd Street Elementary
Right.
School.
Yeah, so the music was so present, it was so alive, and it was like all of the parties we used to go to. It was like all of the college parties in the big gymnasiums, and it was just hip hop, and it was all these artists who performed. You would see everybody on one show, you know? It was just amazing, amazing time and amazing music. And I love that you documented this because I think, listen, all you young kids out here who are, I'm hip-hop and you like new shit is great. You need to read this book because you need to understand where a lot of this shit
Well, you
comes
have to-
from.
well, one of
and
the thi-
understand the roots of a lot of this music you love, and it will make your music listening experience better. And if you're a young artist, I think you should know the roots and understand who all of these guys are and go back and listen to these records because a lot of that shit is still the roots of the stuff that you're hearing today.
The Roxanne Shante, I mean, I wasn't crazy about it as a movie, but that movie did fairly well, right? Didn't they?
Yeah,
do a
it did
movie?
do. It did do well.
I mean, I
People
didn't think it
absolutely.
was the greatest movie of all time, but they did.
But it was effective.
It was
People
very
watched it.
effective. So people do have some interest. I wanted to talk to you about something because it was something Courtney and I both picked up on that you did a really good job documenting. I know when I started doing interviews, so I started becoming a professional journalist in like 89, 90, and I worked a lot for this magazine called DJ Times, which was a trade magazine, but other people read it, and they covered pretty much any kind of music that had a beat. And I spent an inordinate amount of time interviewing Eddie O'Loughlin at Next Plateau, you know, all the people who put out the Salt and Pepper records, you know, the guys at Cold Chillin, Priority, Profile, Sleeping Bag. And what you talk about, and I'd like you to kind of expand about, these were all black music labels. They were R&B labels. They were dance music labels. None of these guys were like, I'm a hip-hop fan. They were older. A lot of them were white.
businessmen.
They were businessmen. Like, talk a little bit about how you think that they made that segue from putting out, like, dance music, R&B, to going into hip-hop.
Yeah, well, in the case of Cold Chillin', there was a label called Prism, which started in 1978 by this guy, Len Fitzgerald. And the year after that, he got D. Joseph to fly out from L.A., who had been working for a label called Butterfly Records. It was another disco label. And so they're putting out disco records, and disco kind of it doesn't collapse the way people like to say it did. It evolved into dance music by the early 80s.
Meaning it came out of, like, disco clubs,
Yeah,
per
and
se.
it became, and then you get the electronic.
Well, disco was black
influence.
music, and a lot of disco was soul music. People,
Right.
dance music never went away. When it was the I Hate Disco music, and that whole movement went, they killed a lot of the frivolous artists who would come around kind of their play, but it was always, like the Paradise Garage, all those clubs,
Yeah.
that was black music.
No, you could
know?
argue that Saturday Night Fever is what killed disco
You know.
music.
But Paradise Garage
You know.
is early 80s. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
so
yeah.
if we're led to believe disco died in 1979, like what the hell's going on?
Right.
Right.
But so then you have Prism we're functioning as a dance label well into the 80s, and then they kind of hit a lull, and they know Mr. Magic from getting their records played on his show Rap Attack, and Mr. Magic's producer on BLS is this guy Tyrone Williams, Fly Ty, and he manages all these guys who are in the Juice and girls in the Juice Crew. And so the first thing that Prism puts out that's related to that is the first Biz Markie single, Nobody Beats the Biz. No, it's not. It's Make the Music with Your Mouth, Biz.
Right.
And then
Look it up, kids. Classic.
it becomes a partnership. And so Tyrone Williams and Len Fitzgerald co-found Cold Chillin', which is an offshoot of Prism.
Right.
Yeah, and so there you have like the evolution from disco to dance to hip hop just within this one building, you know.
But it's happening, like you were saying, and a lot of these
Yeah, a
record
lot of them.
labels were all sort of like near the music building.
That's right.
In Midtown, like the old Tin Pan Alley
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I mean, these guys were like, you know, old school record company Jewish guys, and you know,
Tom Silverman from
Tom
Tommy Boy.
Silverman,
He's a
Aaron
disco guy.
Fuchs, all
The
these
old-
kind of guys,
listen.
the Sokolovs, and they came at it from a perspective. Obviously, they were businessmen, okay,
Yeah.
but they came at it from this, I think, kind of really deep-seated love of black music,
Right.
and this
yeah.
is where black good music was going next.
Right.
Do you think I think of it more like seeing, okay, I can make some money from this, and these people need the opportunity. We'll give them an opportunity, and we keep all of the publishing. Because a lot of those
Well,
small
and you
labels
say
and
that,
artists
excuse
made
me,
those
you
records.
say that as though it's a bad thing.
Well, you know, listen, it's that curse of two things, right?
Right.
You're an artist, and it's shitty. You want this deal, you
Right.
make these records become classic records. Somebody else owns the publishing,
Yeah.
and it has not reverted back to you. Like, we could De La Soul and Tom Silverman.
Well, let's not.
You know, how
yeah,
many
yeah.
years later, and they're
Right.
still like, we've made no money off of our first 3 records.
Right.
The big records.
Right, the ones that I'm not trying to poo-poo that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying I do think that there was certainly exploitation. I mean,
No, there's always been exploitation
Yeah.
when it comes to the black artists and black music in the
Yeah.
industry. It's been the root and the basis for a lot of music, and then the people who originally made the music were underserved in it.
yeah,
We see everything changing now because a lot of these young artists are a lot more educated, and they're understanding the value of even publishing.
shout out to VH1 behind the music.
Yeah,
And-
and knowing that the publishing is key. Your publishing is the thing. You'll have a hit. You'll make. I tell all you when I still have some young artists who I talk to, and they're like, what do I do? I'm like, listen, you have to think long term. Don't look and say I'm making a bunch of money now, because there's always going to be periods where you can say I'm making a bunch of money, but that it comes in waves. You need to set yourself up to be consistent with your money, and publishing and writing and all of that is key. You can't just sign away your rights to everything.
All right, let me just jump for a second. Talk to me about. Let's talk about 2 artists in the book that I think are probably the best known in some ways, and the ones I think who, in my opinion, made the biggest impact. Let's talk about Roxanne Shante.
Yes.
And then let's talk about the Biz, because the Biz Marquee
Okay.
story in terms of sample clearance is tragedy.
Yes.
Yeah, so why don't you just
Well,
tell us?
No pun intended, because
Yeah.
there's another rapper named Tragedy.
Yes, that's
isn't
true.
there?
Yes.
That is true.
Uh,
So just talk a little bit about
And why
Roxanne, like
wasn't
her
she? Why
story.
didn't she talk to you for the book?
Actually, she interviewed me about 3 days ago on her own radio show on Sirius XM. She has a show on LL Cool J's Rock the Bells channel, which is like the old school hip hop channel. And she said that she didn't have positive feelings or positive memories of that period of her life, and so she didn't want to, kind of
Have it documented. and-
pull off old scabs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
yeah.
But let's talk about just the Roxanne, if you can, a little bit about that. But let's talk about the Biz Marquee sample, because I interviewed him right when that was happening, when the all samples cleared,
Yeah.
and so just talk a little bit about that for people. The Gilbert O'Sullivan thing.
Well, his second album, which is on Cold Chillin', is called The Biz Never Sleeps, and it has a song on it called Just a Friend, which was a huge million-selling. It went to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. It's the most successful thing that Cold Chillin' ever did.
It's a classic to this day.
It's classic. It's a great video. He's a star at this point. He puts his next album out, which is called I Need a Haircut. Contained on that album is a song called Alone Again, which samples Alone Again Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan. Apparently, they asked Gilbert O'Sullivan's publishing company, the record label asked, I believe Cold Chillin' asked, to clear the sample. Gilbert O'Sullivan didn't understand rap or didn't like rap and declined. Said, no, you can't do it, and they put the record out anyway. So they knew the thing existed. They went to court. They sued. They named everyone you could think of in this lawsuit: Warner Brothers Records, Cold Chillin', the owners, the Biz Marquee. A huge amount of money ended up getting paid out to Gilbert O'Sullivan's publishing company.
To this day, still, if you play that record, right?
Undisclosed amount, and it might have been Warner who footed the bill. I'm not sure. And then also, this is the what makes it so significant. They forced the albums to be removed from the shelves.
Yeah,
So
it was a product that was going to kill you or something.
Right,
like
like
that.
usually what happens when someone gets sued for an uncleared sample is you pay them a bunch of money and you cut them into the publishing.
Right.
And the record stays on the shelf. They actually ordered to have all the records removed from the shelves.
And they basically and that killed the record. That was
They
it.
killed the record.
and killed his career, you could say.
Well, it didn't kill his career.
Well, the momentum.
Yeah.
The momentum.
He puts out another album 2 years later called All Samples Cleared,
Which a great cover.
where
too.
he's the bailiff and the judge in a courtroom, and he's holding a piece of paper that says All Samples Cleared, and at the bottom of it, and you can't see this on the CD because the artwork is too little, but on the vinyl you can see this. At the bottom of the piece of paper it says FGOS, And so
Fuck Gilbert O'Sullivan.
there you go.
Right.
and the original title for the album, he wanted to just entitle the album "Fuck Gilbert O'Sullivan."
But that was a landmark moment. That changed
And it was
everything about how records and sampling
Yeah.
Well,
and
I mean,
everything.
you could make, okay, I'm not going to, God knows I could care less about Gilbert O'Sullivan, but you could say that the record companies threw the dice on that one and said maybe we won't get caught,
yes.
you know.
I think that's
And they did it at the expense of an artist, right?
Well, you also think this is the beginning, right, where people are really starting to sample, because it was always cutting and break beats, but it was the original artist started realizing that's my track.
Well, it's like
That's
the
my
Turtles
song.
with De La
and
Soul.
it became that pivot, and the Bismarck E, that was a pivotal moment, because at that time it was like, oh, you can actually fight and say, this is my song.
Right.
And and all of the labels started having to go through all of
he
the
was
sample
made it- they
clearance
made it-
moments.
You know, it's a weird thing because we're all hip hop fans here and we're all music fans here. So on one hand, you're like, you should be able to do what you want, and the other hand, you're like, yeah, but like, this guy wrote the song. Like it would be like if somebody decided to take something I wrote and publish a book and not give me any credit for it.
Right.
So there is a
Yeah,
double
yeah.
side. What's
No, you're right.
unfortunate is that rap was viewed as such a boogeyman back there that I don't want to be associated with it.
Right.
You know, and that's what was
and
fucked
there
up.
was a racial component to
Oh,
it.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all, these people think they can
Just-
steal our music.
Right.
Yeah.
This great classic song, Alone Again Naturally, which,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Bismarck E loves that song, clearly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have
Yes.
made that record.
Well, we could have that discussion about rappers and corny taste because one of Eric B's favorite songs, Gary Harris told me this, that one of Eric B's favorite songs was Summer Breeze, and not the Isley Brothers version.
Which version?
The Seals and Crofts.
okay.
Yeah.
I actually really
That's-
like
yeah,
that
there's
song.
a cheese factor.
I've
There's a
argued with my dad about that song.
Which
The
version?
Isley Brothers. That's the only one I know.
That's the only one that counts.
But he hates that. He hates it. He hates the idea that they would cover Seals and Crofts. He hates everything about it
Why?
Why?
Wait,
Wait,
why?
what?
Because
because
it
he hates
puts
that
money.
song. He thinks it's a terrible song.
So if he thought it was an Isley Brothers song, would he? It is a stupid song, but in an
don't know.
Isley Brothers form, it's fantastic.
Cling, 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 cling. You know what fascinates me is
You
these,
know, like anything with the gling gling. Everybody knows that I'm the gling gling king.
Oh well, you can't go wrong with the gling gling.
these
yeah.
lists. My favorite type of listicle is music played by white people that black people like. And what,
Oh
what
God!
Oh well, that's her on every
my-
show.
excuse
She
me,
attacks me on every show.
That's
She's
my
like,
career.
and she keeps shoving them all at me. Like Michael McDonald was like,
There you go.
no, all black people do not like Michael
Yeah, but
McDonald.
Doobie Brothers, Michael
Yeah.
McDonald,
McDonald.
Steely Dan.
Journey.
Uh,
No, only certain
now,
Steely Dan.
see, I never
No.
heard the Journey thing. I never heard
Oh
that.
my God!
I
I've gotten
believe you.
into fist fights with my black friends over Steve Perry.
I'm listening
No, but
to
it's
this.
not
How do
just
you
Journey.
not like Steve Perry?
How do I do like Steve Perry? But here's the thing. Here's the thing about
He's Steve fucking Perry.
All right, whatever. Steely Dan, Asia
I don't really care about Steve
onwards.
Perry.
They don't. Steely Dan, not I'm a fool to do your dirty work or Haitian divorce.
Oh, I
or
didn't
the
know there's a divide there.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
the Asia.
That's trippy.
Yes, because it's all
Because to me, it's like
jazzy.
Who are the
like
ones who
Steely
sang
Dan?
Rosanna in Africa? We like them too.
Toto?
Oh.
you don't like them enough to know the name of the band.
Yeah,
but you like
I
them.
know. I get into this all the time. And then
Rosa-
the other great list is white artists that people didn't know were white. White artists who made black music who people didn't know they were white.
Madonna
Like who?
first single.
No,
Madonna first
Madonna,
single.
they thought she was Puerto Rican.
Yeah, they did think she was
Oh,
Puerto
I've
Rican.
heard people who thought they were black.
No,
and she was black.
they thought she was Stacey Cute. No, Bobby Caldwell,
Oh, that is true.
Tina Marie.
No, people knew Tina Marie was
But
white.
some, but
But we knew that
Bobby-
was the whole thing. She was the white soul singer. People were like, "Oh my God, I love Tina Marie. She sings like a
Right.
black." That was that whole
But
thing.
Tina Marie had more support among black music fans and black.
Well, because
people
of
than
how she
white
came
people.
up in the music that she
And
made,
she was-
and Rick, the whole
right.
Rick James connection, and she
Right.
signed to Gordy Records, which is part of Motown.
Right.
So she
Yeah.
came in through that situation.
Don't get me started.
I used to listen to KRLA and KRF 101 growing up, which were oldies stations in LA, and they'd play, My Boyfriend's Back by the Angels, back to back with Baby It's You by the Shirelles, and if you stuck a gun to my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you that the Angels were white and the Shirelles
No.
were black.
Right.
Yeah.
There's just all kinds of
We could
kind of
arrange
blends
the
in
guns
together.
stuck to your
Well,
head.
please
We would
don't
just
do
say-
that.
No,
Please
we
don't.
won't. We're just kidding. We're
But-
nice. No, I know. It's
Yeah,
just very, very funny and how it got Yes, but that is one of my favorite listicles. Don't you love a listicle?
I love a
I'd
listicle.
love to have a listicle of listicles.
I think it's been done.
Let's have a listicle of I like when they do, it's the 23rd anniversary of the
Oh
second
my God!
single.
Oh my
the-
God!
Of the second
Every
single from the
fucking
fourth
thing
TLC
is an
record.
anniversary.
Yeah, it's,
Everything's an anniversary.
No, I can't deal with. I hate it. And there was something I wanted to ask you about. Oh yeah, so let's talk about punk rock.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
I was going to say that
I want to talk about the connection between punk rock and hip hop because you and I have gone back and forth on this on the interwebs.
Well, you're the living testament of the connection between punk rock and hip hop.
I am.
I'm too young for this conversation, so I'll just sit back.
No,
I
you're
don't.
not.
Yes,
you
I
should
don't know
see
anything
his
about
record
punk. No.
collection.
Yeah.
Your head would
No,
explode.
listen. The most punk I got was Wendy O. Williams in the Plasma.
Oh,
That's
I
pretty
love-
damn. That is.
love
I'm
plasmatic.
sorry. That, my friend, is pretty fucking punk.
I accept your answer.
I accept it and I raise you.
I did.
Wendy Williams has nothing on Wendy O.
I
Williams.
loved Wendy O. Williams.
Oh, bless a
and the
woman
Plasma.
with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Band-Aids on her
And I have to
tits.
say, I had that
She's
Earl.
dead, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
she
she did.
killed
She does,
herself
yeah.
in 1998.
She killed herself?
Yeah.
She shot herself
Yeah.
with a shotgun outside her house in Connecticut.
Yeah.
See, I read
That's
Wikipedia.
a lot of details.
And some of it I remember.
That's a lot of detail.
And my early punk Nina Hagen when she's singing in German. I love
That's true.
I love Nina punk
is true.
stuff.
But the first
White
time
punks on dope.
the first no, that's the Tubes.
Yeah, but she also has her
she
version
did.
of White punks on dope. Yeah.
I
Or is it White punks on TV? She's got one of
White
them.
punks
One
on
of
Hope.
on
Crap.
I
Hope.
think she has a
yes.
version of that
Hope.
too. But yeah.
The first time I ever danced to hip hop, I mean, I'd heard hip hop a million times, but when I moved back to New York and I worked at A7, which was an infamous after-hours punk club on Avenue A and 7th, where the Beasties got their start. A
course.
lot of bands were there, and they would just play hip hop stuff because everybody was dancing to the same thing.
Oh.
It was just music. It's not like you had niche,
So Bad Brains would play, but before they played,
I love Bad
They
Brains.
played Grandmaster
I was
Flash.
forgetting about that. I
Figure
love
it.
Bad Brains.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, the Bad Brains. Yeah, the Bad Brains. But I always thought that there was except that punks were against everything material and stuff, and rappers wanted everything material. So that was basically.
that's a good point.
Because who didn't Chuck D host the podcast on the Clash?
He did.
And he did. Did you hear that, Courtney?
No.
Did you hear
It's
that?
incredible.
It's on Spotify. There's a podcast about the history of the Clash, and the host is Chuck D.
Yeah.
That's
It's
really
awesome.
interesting.
No, and it's really, really, really good.
Well, he's a smart guy.
He's a smart guy, but you can tell that's what I'm saying. I always feel like there's been some kind of sonic, or not sonic, but some kind of spiritual connection between punk and
rockers' favorite rap group, always Public Enemy. Always.
Oh, yeah, because it sounds like a group.
Yeah. Well,
It
it sounds noisy and hard and
Right.
fast.
That's the
and
reason I always
political.
figured that PE got into. That's why hip hop groups have an easier time getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame than rappers singular, because white people still need to have some sense it's a band. So,
Huh.
so
you
for
think
them,
that's it?
I never
you
thought
know,
of
I
that.
think there's only up until Tupac, it's only
Groups.
been groups.
Yep.
It's been Public Enemy,
Right.
the Beasties, and that was
Right.
that was a no-brainer. Run DMC,
Right.
Grandmaster Flash, which rumor
and
had,
the Furious Five.
and the Furious Five, which rumor has it was a mistake, that they did a miscount and they couldn't undo it.
That's pretty fucking
Well,
awful.
what
I've heard
great
that from
mistake.
two very reliable
Wow.
sources.
what
I've
a
heard
great mistake.
Yeah, and then up until Tupac, there's NWA, who
Yep.
are also a band that white people like.
Group, yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever.
a band group. And I think it's a lot of it's because rock people are like, oh, that's not music. It's like, oh, but there's an aggressiveness. That's why they can't understand LL, or they can't understand Latifah.
I
You
don't
know?
know, but what about like Joe Walsh is a guy, right?
No, but Joe Walsh isn't in as a solo artist.
Oh, he isn't.
No.
Okay, never mind. Bruce Spring. Oh, that's the E Street
Oh,
Band.
that's Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. No, but what I
Bob
mean
Dylan
is,
is a guy.
No, but-
And didn't Bruce Springsteen get in by himself, and then the E
Yeah,
Street
he did.
Band
Yes.
got
No,
in?
but what I'm talking
Yeah.
about the criteria for hip hop. When it's not so much now, but you still have a bunch of people who are still like, it's not music. So if you have a hip hop group that has the sonics of a rock band, it's aggressive. They're sampling rock stuff. They can more go,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Why do you think rap rock monstrosity lasted for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
All that horror. That's what I think. It's a theory. It's my theory, and I'm
But
staying with it.
LL Cool J does have a lot of rock in his music.
But
because,
they
Rick Rubin produced the
continually
first
not
one.
He's
vote
the
him
we
in.
we don't even like he's not, it's just nominating LL Cool J is like an exercise in
Futility.
to complete futility. You know what I love
And you
about your
keep say-
dad, among other things? I have to tell you, every year your dad makes the case for Johnny Halliday. Did you grow up having to listen to Johnny Halliday all
Thank
day?
goodness, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's the
'cause-
French Elvis.
I know who he is. He put out a record in 2018, which was a big. It was
This
a
is why you should
big
love him.
sort of.
He died in 2018
well,
or somewhere around
But
there.
a record came
Yeah.
out. A new record came out in 2018 that was like a big record. It was #1 in France for like a gazillion weeks.
And the Benelux
Whenever,
countries.
he's one of those ones where they dig in the
Quebec.
catalog and they put out records
Bob
and
Merlis.
people still
Bob Merlis has the flame. Bob Merlis will sit there with his lighter going.
I was just at Bill Adler's house and he said, "Your dad, Johnny Halliday." I could have sworn, like 1 hour ago, I was at Bill Adler's house and he goes, "Your dad's the Johnny Halliday guy, right? Or am I misremembering that?" It's like
No.
it's good. It's
No.
like my dad's gravestone is going to say, "I really like Johnny Halliday."
No, I was at your dad's place in Palm Springs a whole bunch of years ago, and it was like this it was like literally out of like a movie, sitting poolside. Your dad, my boyfriend at the time, Linda, we're sitting there in the fire pit that people out there had, and we're just talking about stuff, and your dad goes, "I just can't understand why we can't get Johnny Halliday into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." And I'm like, "Excuse me?"
because like no one in America knows who he is.
Yes. No, he will go to his grave. That will be his.
well,
I'm surprised he didn't name you Halliday Merlis.
If I only had if I could just throw anybody into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the snap of a finger,
Yes.
my first snap would be B-52s.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
second would be LL Cool J.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
mine would be. Well, what would your be? Because I actually have the power to do it. So.
No,
My-
you don't. You're on the nom-com.
I'm on the nom-com,
But I'm talking
baby.
about getting someone in
I
at the snap.
am in the nom-com.
Mine would be.
Boom.
Mine would be.
Kiss the ring. Kiss the ring. Buy me one first and then kiss it.
Mine would be Nina Simone.
She's in.
Oh, is she in?
Yeah, I'm not-
Okay, then I think Shaka Khan deserves to
Yeah,
be in there
well.
solo-wise. They keep trying
Yeah,
to go with
solo.
Rufus.
All right.
Solo. And you know how I feel about Eurythmics. I want
Yeah.
to see the Eurythmics in there. I
Mine
do.
would be the New York Dolls.
Number one, New York Dolls.
Number
Boom.
one,
They're
New
in.
York Dolls. Well, Roxy's in, so that's a dream. I would have to
Pia
say
Zadora?
No, I would have to say LL or Eric B. and Rakim.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely someone of the rap.
Yeah, yeah.
Shaka. I mean, yeah, but I cannot believe that.
Milan Farmer?
That would be. Can I get 3 choices?
I'm going to be on Who Cares About the Rock Hall podcast later this month,
Oh, who hosts that?
testifying on
Who
behalf
hosts that?
of T-Rex.
Mm.
I see. I want to argue with you about that. It's funny that you say T-Rex.
You know, I also love Yoko. I would like to see Yoko.
Oh,
on
I
the-
hate
I
her.
love Yoko Ono.
Oh my God,
I love
I
Yoko
hate
Ono
her.
records.
Oh my God, I hate her.
love Yoko. Listen,
Sorry.
she is squealing for love and art.
No, she's
Yes,
not.
she is. I
Oh, I
love it.
can't stand it.
I love it. I
Oh, I
love it. I
can't
love
And
it.
you,
stand it.
and you, what were we saying before Yoko Ono?
T-Rex.
Yeah, what about T-Rex?
Okay, so as you know, the nom-com is like the Illuminati.
Right.
You can't talk about what goes on in there. But
Uh-huh.
once it's released, you can say whatever you want. I was thinking about T-Rex, and then I watched one. You know those horrible documentaries they have on Amazon where like 3 guys got together and did a documentary about like some artist? It sucks.
Yeah.
They did a T-Rex one, and I have to say that with the exception of 2 songs, every one of his songs sounds exactly alike.
And what are the 2 songs that don't sound exactly like?
Bangagon and I can't even think of the name of it, but it's the one. It's one. The thing is that they don't hold up.
To me, they do.
I know.
Well,
I
mean,
just-
I
they
first
don't
heard
hold
them
up.
years after he died before I was
He
born.
died before we. I know. They don't hold up, and I just feel like if the New York Dolls aren't in, I'm very much in a school of influences. The people
Absolutely.
they have to. I mean, every band is doing the New York Dolls.
T-Rex predates the New York Dolls.
No,
Yeah.
does he? Yeah, but not that folky shit. You talking about the folky shit?
First New York Dolls album is 1973.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
First T-Rex album is 1970.
Is Lita Ford in?
No, the run. No, what's her face is in. Joan
Joan
Jett's
is in.
Joan
But she got in with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. The Runaways didn't go
No.
in?
No, she got in. It's just Joan Jett.
See,
This year.
and the Go-Go's, I believe people
The
who
Go-Go's were
who are the ones who
Go-Go's
really
were
have
nominated. This year.
are they really?
No, they weren't.
Oh, I feel like this. People who really influenced generation after generation of people. That's where I look at it sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But you have people
The Marvelettes aren't.
who have influenced so many people, including people who are in there, who you're just kind of like, no.
The only artist I would be not actually upset, but just like, are you fucking kidding me? If they get in,
Who?
Dave Matthews Band.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
God.
Let me just tell
what
you
a
something.
joke.
No, he's even said they shouldn't be in.
Also, what's with my dad's generation? Shocking Todd Rundgren to no end. What the fuck is that about?
That's a
Wait a
weird
minute,
one
wait,
to me. I
hold
gotta
up.
say.
Stop. Hammer time. You're pro Todd or anti Todd?
I don't understand. They like Todd Rundgren's solo albums. He was in this band called Nas. You know,
Yes.
they had the song "Open My Eyes."
Yeah.
That shit kicks ass.
Yeah.
He was a record producer who did
Yeah.
"Love My Way" by the Psychedelic Furs. That shit kicks ass.
And the whole.
Do I want to hear him?
Nuts,
But
and Hall
he
Nuts,
did a
and
lot
the
of-
New York Dolls.
So should he get in as a producer?
I think he should just get in.
Why?
Why not?
Because his solo records are.
Something,
I
anything,
like his
something,
solo
anything.
records.
All right,
Something-
I'll give him another chance. But
He
like
has
I
a great
said,
live
like I
album that
said,
I really
the
love.
only
The
one,
Utopia
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
the only one where I would be really, are you fucking kidding me? Moment is Dave Matthews Band.
Oh,
I would not
be,
feel
are
that
you
way towards
fucking-
Todd Rundgren.
No, I would feel, are you fucking kidding me with Dave Matthews? But you have to understand that now there's the fan. Well, no, I think the fan vote this year will go. Who's really schlocky? Who's nominated this year? Like in the schlock factor.
9 Inch are they not?
Oh no,
shocked?
they're in. They're in. I think they're in.
who-
I don't understand that. And he just won.
Soundgarden? Are they
He just won.
schlocky?
No, I like Sound.
They seem to be at the top of the fan
Nine-
vote. Soundgarden
Nine
is up
Inch
there.
Nails. He just won a CMT award
Who?
Trent Reznor.
because that sample for Old Town Road is a 9 Inch Nails.
It is?
sample. Yeah.
Yes.
He's made more
Wow.
money off that
Than any of
10
them.
seconds of that song than anything he's ever
So he
done.
actually did something I like. I like the
Yes.
song Old Town
He
Road.
has finally redeemed himself as a human being, and he made sure he'll get nominated because last year at the Hall of Fame, I finally got to see the show, and when he was introducing a Cure, a band that means less than nothing to me,
They had
but
good
they were
songs.
very good.
I
He
don't
said,
get it.
"You know, I don't get it either." But Robert Smith's
He's
doppelganger
stalking me, and
is
now I'm afraid.
stalking around.
They had good songs.
But every time he got up there, Trent Reznor, and he started saying about, I used to think this was bullshit, but now I can understand it. It was like, all right.
Greasing the wheels.
Yeah,
But people still need to. The voting body still needs to vote.
I know. I haven't voted yet.
Well, this is what I'm going to say because we have to wrap the show up in
Okay,
a couple of minutes.
All right.
The only person who better motherfucking get in this year,
It's Shaka.
is Pat Benatar.
I'm not voting for
Why
it.
is that? Why is that?
Pat Benatar to me is an icon and legendary. And when women were still playing small rooms, Pat Benatar was playing arenas all around the place as the headliner with great songs, with a great voice. Those songs still hold up. She's still touring, and she was one of those women who were out there doing that shit.
Well, I
And
would
I
only
think that
vote for her
that's
because she's a
important.
girl. She's not
No,
my favorite.
she's got great music. Pat, those songs are great.
Well,
I could take it or leave it. I like a couple of her songs,
Yeah,
but
I could take
I
it or leave
really
it.
love the Pretenders. Are they in there?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. Let's just talk. I want to talk a little bit. I told you that we're going to talk about music that we're kind of digging right now.
Can you,
So-
Mike?
Yeah, I can,
Thank
Mike.
you. Thank
All I
you.
need is one mic. I want to talk about some stuff that we really like. So you and I are both really liking the Queen and Slim soundtrack.
I'm loving that.
I'm really
Listen,
liking it.
It reminds me of that vibe, when back in the day when the Love Jones soundtrack. It's a really good,
There's
solid
lots of-
black.
Is
music
Raphael
soundtrack.
Sadiq associated with it? I have a feeling he might be.
I mean, he's got a song on there. I don't know
Right.
if he's.
I will
associated
say
putting it
one thing
together.
about there's a lot of great people on his Burner Boy, Bilal, Raphael,
Yep.
Megan Thee Stallion, Sid. But I will say one thing. The big selling point is it's the first song of Lauryn Hill's in 6 years. And
Yeah.
once you listen to the song, if you ever thought she wrote those songs on Miseducation, you'll know for a fact she didn't because this song sucks. Anyway, it does. It's
I don't
just
hate the
boring.
song.
It's
I don't hate,
boring.
But here's the thing: I have no expectation of a Lauryn Hill song in 2019
Well, then why put her on a record then?
because people love her. She's been able to tour for 20 years off of one album.
Bless her
You know.
You
And
mean when she shows up?
when she shows up, she's the Madonna. At least Madonna shows up when it's late. And the other song, well, the Pet Shop Boys, that goes without saying.
Okay, here's the thing.
Do you love the Pet Shop Boys?
No, I don't.
What?
What? Stop
You
the
are
tape. Out.
I don't.
Thank
I
you
don't-
so much, Ben, for
It was
being
nice
here.
seeing
Get
you.
out.
I don't
All right,
hate
cut
the Pet Shop
No,
Boys.
no, no.
Everything
There
you
is
said out of this
nothing
show.
more brilliant than the Pet Shop Boys.
I don't hate them.
Thank
I
you.
just don't love them.
There's let me. There's they to me are the number one dance act in the world.
I'm not a big dance fan.
Yeah.
I apologize.
This is the wrong show.
So,
I
wrong
cannot
show.
believe we
I
invited him
apologize. Oh, my
here.
God,
and he's
I'm
I like
so sorry.
freestyle
me.
music.
Which?
Oh my God.
Freestyle.
Okay,
I
but you
love
just
freestyle,
redeemed
Jeff.
yourself.
You
Yeah, I love
redeemed yourself.
freestyle. Okay, I love a
For
good
my
freestyle.
birthday,
Debbie
Courtney
Deb,
made
right.
me a mixtape.
Yeah.
He made me a mixtape for my birthday, and as the crowd weeded out,
Yeah.
and then the last
and when
half
the crowd,
an hour was
it was
all freestyle.
It was the freestyle section, and it just turned into a full-on dance party. Everybody loves it. Who doesn't love Love Letter by Giggles?
You know who doesn't love freestyle music?
Connie.
Rudy.
Oh well.
Who's Rudy?
Oh.
And we love him, but
Okay.
all right.
Oh, Rudy Giuliani.
No, yeah, him too. He doesn't like freestyle.
He doesn't love himself.
Yeah, he doesn't love himself. He doesn't love this country, Ben. He doesn't love our Constitution. So here's what I love about the Pet Shop Boys particular song. We'll talk more about the next time when this evil influence isn't here trying to unlove the Pet Shop Boys. But what I love about it is when I put it on, I was expecting a dance track, and it's not.
I know it's not, but this is the third in the trilogy of Stuart Price produced albums. And listen, Pet Shop Boys are great, and they're going on a greatest.
Ignore him. Just ignore him. He doesn't
They're
know.
going on a greatest hits tour, and I will be in there.
Oh, we will go. We're gonna.
Yeah.
I've seen them
Listen,
4 times.
they've
and it's
continually,
the greatest,
to
one of the
me-
best live acts I've ever seen.
And
Seriously.
they make
wipe
great
that
music.
smirk off your face, young man. They are one of the
We
best
have
live.
1 minute for me to talk about something about
yeah.
how I wrote a book called "Going Off: The Story of
Yay!
the Juice
Yeah,
Crew."
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
Chillin
yeah,
yeah. Come
Records.
on.
I wrote this book. It came out last week. We did a big book event in L.A. It was great. It was with Marley Marl, Cut Chemist, and Peanut Butter Wolf. I did a book event in Brooklyn 2 days ago. It was great. It was with Masta Ace and Craig G. I'm going to go to BLS in a couple hours.
Oh, that's dope. That's amazing.
That's amazing. Whose show?
Classic flavors.
Classic
Oh,
flavors.
That's what's up. That's
That's
what's up.
amazing.
And then you wanted to know what new stuff I like, or
Yeah, just as anybody you're
the
listening to
new,
right now?
New Gangstar album is really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we're
Great, we
enjoying
talked
that.
about it,
That's a full
There's
moment.
this whole new movement of hardcore kids who are younger than me, significantly younger than me, starting new bands that sound like 90s alt rock. In other words, stuff that came out when they were being born.
Right.
And so there are a few of those bands I like. One is called Glitterer. One is called Young Gov. Actually, that kid's more like my age. There's a band called Hammered Halls, which is on Discord Records. It's Alec
Discord
Mackay's new band. He's Ian Mackay's younger brother.
I was going to say he's Ian's brother.
Yeah, he was the singer of The Faith. There's
The Faith.
there's a new album out by the band Ride, who is a shoegaze band from England.
I remember them.
Yeah, they have
Warner Brothers.
They have a
right?
new album out. The first song is an intro, and it sounds like hip hop.
Okay, we're being
in a good way.
stalked. We're being stalked again. Now we're
Except
being
that he
stalked
w-
by a stunt double for somebody else.
But he was cute, so
yeah,
like he can
was
come back.
cute.
Hi,
He was
come
kind
back.
of
Hi.
cute. He had an unattractive white girlfriend. See,
You know-
our conversation we were having before. It's the conversation.
Okay,
we were
you know what?
Oh, I was going to say one thing. We usually end the segment with what stupid shit Meghan McCain said this week, but because of the impeachment hearings, that bitch was preempted all week, so we didn't have to listen to her. So thank you, Black Jesus, for not having to listen to Meghan McCain all week. It made getting a tooth pulled a pleasurable experience. Courtney, was
We want to thank Ben Merlis
Yes,
for coming
thank you,
out.
Ben.
Guys,
Yay.
pick up his
This
book.
is a great
It
book.
is called Going Off, the story of the Juice, the story of the Juice Crew and Cold Chillin Records. It is out now.
Yes.
Hit up Amazon.
Amazon, it's on Amazon.
Go to your
Bookstores, right?
Go to listen.
In
Just
theory.
buy it.
Here's the thing,
In
people.
theory.
You go right to your computer. You type in "Going Off," the story of the Juice Crew. It's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
Put it in your basket. I was showing it to a friend the other day.
Right.
And
Great cover, too.
I actually showed it to Pat and those guys at the record store, and they all taking pictures. Like, I need to go buy this. I'm going to get
Yes.
it. This is a great book.
No, it's
a
a great book.
present. Thank you, Ben, for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Today, I'm going to let you finish. Today is presented in partnership with Listening Party Presents. Follow the crew on Instagram at Listening Party Presents and at Canal Street Radio and at Canal Street Market. And follow us on Instagram at I'ma Let You Finish NY. And we're on Twitter at Finish Amma. And listen, We love you guys for rocking with
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you,
I-
Ben, for coming here.
I'm on Instagram at called Chillin Book.
Excellent,
it.
No,
excellent,
seriously,
excellent.
it's a great book. We've both read a lot of music
Yeah.
books before.
And it's
This is
really
a
good.
really good
Thank you,
Appreciate it, yeah.
Fiona,
Yeah.
for
Thank you,
everything today.
Fiona.
Thank you, guys. We love y'all. We'll
Thank
see you in
Robert
December.
Smith Stoppelganger.
And cute guy who was stalking us, come back because
Come
I'm
back.
single.
Come back. Me too. The old Indian rope trick.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.